Is the ADC comfortable with this dual loyalties, where Peter Obi is still a member of the Labour Party and is still a part of your movement, where Atiku is still a member of the PDP and is still a part of the coalition? You're comfortable with that, where Rufai is still a member of the SDP and is still...
What you call dual loyalty is actually not dual loyalty, because when we did the unveiling 3 days ago, everybody was out in the open. Nobody was hiding. So,
but some of them have been backtracking, saying, "Oh, we have not left yet. We're still."
No, it's not backtracking. Did they come out? Did they say they are not part of the coalition?
They say that, but they also say that they are still members of their old parties.
To you, have you seen one of them that say, "Oh, I'm not part of this coalition"? No. Don't forget that they are coming from somewhere, and there were elections that they have to contest. There are by-elections in FCT, in Kaduna, elsewhere, and they have members who have filled in nomination forms on the platform of those parties, right? So you expect them to go ahead with the process, but nobody is saying that I'm not part of the coalition. Do you understand what I'm saying? So sometimes you have to be flexible in this regard.
Right.
But for us, we are very clear. This coalition is for the Nigerian people. So, and it is clear to everyone that it's either you are part of the government or you are part of the coalition.
Okay, in 10 seconds if you can, because we're completely out of time. Is ADC the final bus stop, or is this just another decoy, because we know ADA and other political parties are in the pipeline?
This is our coalition. What you will have in the end will depend on what we encounter as we go. I mean, we have a coalition, a united coalition that believe that this country needs to be rescued from this APC government.
Something tells me that even if that's not the case, you wouldn't tell it to the public anyway. But
I've answered your question. What is absolutely clear is that Nigeria has found itself, and Nigerians have found themselves in a situation that is probably unprecedented in the history of democracy in Nigeria at various levels. One of such levels is that for the first time, before our very eyes, we are watching our democracy disappear. Because what is democracy? Democracy is about open contestations of different political parties and ideas. But in the last 1.5 years or so, we are watching the political environment, political landscape conscripted to give room for only one party, that is the ruling party. We saw all kinds of crises in the opposition ranks, from the PDP, which is the biggest of all of them. The NNDP, we thought was built around just one man. It also went into crisis. The SDP, and of course the Labour Party. This is of great concern to every politician, or every political actor in this country, and of course for every Nigerian who believes in democracy. Because what was clear is that Nigeria was faced with the present danger of becoming a one-party state and descending into some form of civilian dictatorship. Because if you arrive, God forbid, in 2027, and the only option open to you is to vote for APC, then you cannot call that democracy.
Even when the president was very categorical, saying that he has no interest in turning this country?
Of course. Well, that's what the president will say. The president will not come out and say, "Oh, we have a hand in this." But every Nigerian knows the machinations that were going on, right? And we don't need to even try to defend or try to prove that. The second point, of course, is the obvious emasculation of the National Assembly. You find a situation where the National Assembly, that's supposed to be the bastion of democracy, has become the cheerleader and praise singer of the executive. That's a big conspiracy against the Nigerian people, because the National Assembly is supposed to be the representative of the people, where a lawmaker could stand up and say, "Look, this is not good for my people, this is not good for my constituency." But when you take that away, and the National Assembly is no longer able to play that role for whatever reason, then the interest of the people become endangered. So these are the immediate concern for the ADC. Right. Of course, we can proceed. There are other factors. We can look at the existential threat that the policies of this administration is presenting to Nigeria. How much they pay for petrol, no matter how sound the economic policy is, if it's going to make life more miserable for the people, then you have to back away from it.
Right. Yeah, just to double down on the democratic principles and everything, some would say there is also nothing democratic about your perceived hostile takeover of the ADC. That is one of the most undemocratic things that we've seen recently.
I don't know where your idea of hostile takeover, because I don't know what you mean by hostile takeover.
So I'm sure you've heard the comments and remarks of the 2023 presidential candidate of the ADC, Mr. Dumebi Kachiku, who described this particular scenario as a hostile takeover.
So you are quoting him, or you are...
Exactly. I'm re-echoing what he said as a question.
So, okay, the question I'll ask you back. What is the position of Dumebi Kachiku in the NWC of the ADC? Does he hold a position in the NWC?
Obviously not. Obviously not.
Does he hold a position in the neck of the ADC? Is he in the board of trustees of ADC? He's just a candidate.
Yeah, but you have to admit that we've never seen something like this, where the entire structure just collapses one day and other people take over.
One day. This took over 18 months. It took over 18 months of careful engagement and careful negotiations and convincing the ADC leadership to buy into our vision. And they saw a need to be part of history. They didn't want to continue to wallow in obscurity. They see an opportunity to be part of the mainstream politics of Nigeria, and they took it. They went through the process of amending their own constitution and amending their own rules to accommodate the people that are coming, and negotiating with us what position will be ceded to them, what position will be ceded to us. Those were negotiations, and you will see that as we proceed to fill other positions in the NWC, you will see that they have roles to play, just like those of us who are coming will also have roles to play and positions to occupy. So when a presidential candidate who only flew the flag of the party at some point began to arrogate himself the knowledge or the workings or the authority of the party structure itself, then it becomes problematic, right? And it reflects his lack of awareness or understanding, But it's also part of the kind of crisis, contrived crisis that we've seen with other opposition political parties. And that is what was emerging, what they're trying to think they can do. But we anticipated it, and we had all our I's dotted and our T's covered. So we're confident we're on solid legal ground. So
18 months in the making, right? Some would say from day one then you've had it out for the administration, because 18 months ago the administration was barely 3 months in office and not much has been seen. So what does that say about the opposition or coalition's quest for power?
No, I mean, it's about quest for power. What else are we talking about? It's about quest for power. It's what we use power for that matters, right? What politicians do is to seek power. So in the end, it comes down to what you do with that power. So a politician is only important to the extent that is relevant, to the extent that he is in the arena. So when he's in a particular place and he feels that he's no longer allowed to practice or operate within that environment or within that context, then it is only natural that he begins to find an alternative. So people are in politics for different reasons, right? But in the end, it is what you use power for, right, that matters, and what kind of rules of behavior is allowed within the confines of the political party in which you operate.
So would you say this coalition itself is organic? Because there's also a question about, how political movements are supposed to be organic, because people share the same beliefs, they see things the same particular way, and they share those beliefs, and that's why they want to have power, so that they can actualize some of those beliefs. Do you think the coalition's movement is...
Can you give me an example of organic power from 1960 that Nigeria has started to exist? Organic power, party.
PRP, for instance.
PRP was formed by Malam Aminu Kanu.
Yeah, but you know his political ideology. So most people within the PRP, for instance...
You are confusing me now. Yeah. You are talking about organic party, that is the party that originated from the people. That's what you mean. Then you are talking about ideology. Which one are you talking about?
Yeah,
is it the ideology
I'm talking
or the
about,
formation of the party?
I'm talking about people who come together, for instance, naturally because they believe in a particular way of running the affairs of government, for instance,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And then over time they decide, okay, this is what we are going to do.
Yes.
Right? Why I'm asking that question is because we see the departure of Malam Nasir Rufai from the APC to the SDP,
Yes.
now to the ADC. Peter Obi is still a member of the Labour Party, but he's still a member of the coalition. Atiku Abubakar is still a member of the PDP.
Oh, I get what you mean.
Yeah, exactly.
No, but you see, the important point to emphasize in that respect, that this also reflects something. It also reflects the stage of our political development, right? And the stage of our political, the stage we are in our political or democratic evolution. Nigeria's democracy, in comparison, in historical terms, is still very, very young. I believe that some of these things will continue to evolve as we proceed. And that is why it's easy for someone to say it's in APC today, it's in PDP today, because like you said, what is the overriding principle? In the Second Republic we had it, you had UPN, right? If you were a UPN governor, no matter how incompetent you are, the least you could do is to guarantee free education, right? So that was the foundational philosophy of that party, even though you could not describe it as organic in the sense of maybe a NEPU and the PRP and all that, So in this case, what we are trying to say is that, can we start by trying to build a proper political party? And let me tell you, one of the great visions that we had driving ADC is that if you look around, there's no party that has a plan for a successor generation. Within our ranks, we acknowledge that many members of ADC that's making up this coalition are in their 70s, 60s, 50s, right? But
a lot more in the 60s.
Yeah, a lot more in the 60s, right? So, what is the pipeline for grooming the next generation of Nigerian politicians? And if you don't do that and start now to begin to lay the ground, the proper ground, for them to understand what politics is meant to serve, then we will have lost the opportunity to do that. And that is one of the key principles that's attracting people like me into ADC. That it provides opportunity. There's a long-term vision behind this. And that's why when people describe the coalition as anti-Tinubu coalition, we say, no, we are not just anti-Tinubu coalition. We have a long-term vision of politics for Nigeria. We believe that if God helping us with this party, we can begin to lay a foundation, a solid foundation for a political traditional system in Nigeria.
Yeah. So if I ask the question, because people are struggling, at least some of the people whose comments I've read recently, saying that, listen, the dissatisfaction is quite obvious with the political class in this country.
Yes.
Nigeria needs change,
yes.
Disruptive change, one that would probably change the trajectory of this country for the better, right? But they're not quite convinced that you are that change.
Yeah.
What was your message to people who are not convinced that the people they are seeing on the ADC platform are not the change that Nigeria needs?
Yeah, it's understandable. It's understandable because we're here in 2014, 2015 when we brought the message of change. And Nigerians don't really think that what followed matched their expectation. So it's only natural that people become cynical and begin to tell themselves, we've seen all this before. How is it different from what we've seen before? And like you said, they'll say, oh, it's the same people, right? There's a legitimate reason to think so, but it's also dangerous because the most important point we must focus on is that politics is for politicians. You have to be a politician to play politics. That is one. Two, you can't find a politician in this country that has not been in one party or the other at a particular time. Maybe very few that you can say, okay, they've remained in one political party or have not held one office or the other at one point or the other. So it's the same. So it is easy to tie everybody with the same brush and say, well, they are the same people, right? But the most important point, that the most important thing we need to focus is that we cannot give up. Because we cannot bring angels to run this country. We cannot manufacture new set of politicians.
But they will say, well, you can bring new people, new faces, new
people,
blood.
But new blood have to be piped through a system. Do you get what I'm saying? And that's why I'm talking about building the successor generation. Have to be brought in. If you ask me today to bring the kind of people that you probably have in mind within the current political environment, you probably find it difficult, because majority of the people like yourself, people who work in the media, who work in the bank, they say, oh, politics count me out. It's a dirty game, right? So how do you begin to convince younger people with talent that politics is not a dirty game, that you can actually give politics a good name? That's part of what we try to do, and that's what, personally, some of us have convinced ourselves is the mission we have to do. And wherever I have gone, I've always told young people, don't ever say you are not a politician. I made that mistake for many years. Don't ever say you will not participate in politics, because to say that is to exclude yourself on the most important process of running this country, of shaping this country, and of deciding what happens to this country. So to go back to our point, it is very unlikely that you can have it otherwise, because the political scene is populated by the same set of people. Now, what we are going to do differently is that we are going to build a political party that is actually supreme in the real sense of it. Like our chairman said at the unveiling, we are going to build a political party that is governed, that is controlled by its own membership. You know, that's one critical element. It sounds like an unimportant point, but it's quite central, because if you look at what happened, if an individual gets elected on a platform of a political party, then he becomes the master of that party. Again, because he forms the party maybe as governor, or as president, or as senator, and all that. But this did not happen in the Second Republic that I keep referring to. I mean, you could not, as a governor, you could not be bigger than the UPN. You could not be bigger than MPN. You could not be bigger than PRP. You are still accountable to your own party. It is still possible for us to build that kind of political system, and that's what we are focused on doing.
Okay, 2 questions before we wrap things up. When the novelty wears off, the feeling is that you're going to have to deal with some very difficult conversations about zoning, about the ambitions of the people within your ranks. So talk to us about these 2 things. Are these 2 things top on your to-do list or on the agenda, zoning? And then do you have any kind of pact with the obvious aspirants about supporting one another, whatever happens, should you decide to go to a convention?
We've not had any conversations around any of this about zoning, about who gets what, and that's why you see that some of the people within our party who probably knows one ambition or the other will tell you, if I get the ticket, if I become the candidate. Because what we are focused on is building a political party. We are happy with the reception we've received from Nigerians in the last couple of days, but like you said, it's marathon. It's not a dash. So we are conscious of the challenges.
Some would say you're kicking the can down the road.
Yeah. No, you're not kicking any can down the road. There's some conversation you start earlier and it's like, what is it called? A deal breaker, right? But you have to build a political party that gives everybody confidence, that make everyone believe that they stand a chance, that they will be dealt with fairly and justly.
Right.
So unless you do that, then you are not going to.
So guys, one might be wondering why Tinubu and the APC are panicking over the new coalition. Anyway, let's move away from that. Let me also tell you that concerns are being raised about Atiku declaring his interest in competing with Peter Obi in the primaries of the coalition. Atiku said he's going to have 70% of youths and women in his cabinet, but trust obedience. They've told him that this man, see, if there's anything you forgot in Aso Rock, you are not going back there to take it. That after serving as a vice presidential candidate to, Obasanjo, you cannot go back to Aso Rock. Because, see, Atiku was the one that destroyed the election of last year. After Buhari left office, Atiku desperately came out from nowhere. A Fulani man, a northerner, left office after it is Atiku desperately came out, declaring that he's running. And because he has money, the PDP could not stand their ground to say it's a turn of the South. They made it an open ticket. Now, Kenneth Okonkwo is spearheading this one now, saying anybody can run after the North has served for 8 years. Atiku Abubakar, don't forget that Kenneth Okonkwo once met Atiku Abubakar. Possibly he has told him to support him. So the question remains, do you think this uniting with the ADC and other coalition force, do you think it's a good thing for Peter Obi? Many people are warning Peter Obi to be very careful of what is happening. Anyway, guys, there's a headline I want to react to. It says, breaking news, Minister of Power declares Oyo State governorship ambition and begins consultation. This is the man that has failed woefully. It's only in Nigeria we reward failure. This man, the definition of this man is failure. But it's only in Nigeria we welcome failure. Now, let me take you through some of the reactions coming from Nigerians. You must have seen the Oyo State governor who said we should be giving him 10 billion. You know, they see that money in politics is sweet. He now wants to move from minister to become governor. I wonder what this one is going to solve. This one said, this one don't thief enough money from Ban A. 2 years in office, they are already seeking political office. This one say, this goes a long way to explain why we've been experiencing severe darkness. This overweight Labubu has been diverting monies meant for improvement of a power generation for his dumb political ambition. It's really so sad, you know. This person say, we don't really suffer. Chad, oh my God. This is Nigeria that this man couldn't give us light. This person say, Obi is coming. Another person say he wants to govern a state, but couldn't even power a ministry. 2 years, we are still in darkness, yet he thinks he deserves a promotion. Resign honorably and face your ambition. And my prayer is that Oyo people finally see the light. Because this one, okay. And I think he went forward further to say something. He said, honestly, you can't campaign with one leg and manage a sensitive sector like power with the other. Nigeria is not a side hustle, bros. Nigeria is not a side hustle. This one says, the good thing is that there is improvement in power sector. You really expect light everywhere within 2 years. Another person say, if you are from Oyo, you should already know that voting these people back to power is shooting yourself on the leg. Don't even disturb yourself, sir. The mumus will still vote for him. So these are some of the reactions coming from Nigerians as Minister of Power has declared interest to run. He wants to run a country. He couldn't provide any solution. These are the ministers Tinubu was supposed to remove. But how can Tinubu remove his tribesman? If this man was to be an Igbo man, he would have gone when some other ministers went. They removed the Igbo, more of those who are not Yorubas, and keep their people. Now, see where Nigeria is. Nothing is working. Nothing is working, honestly. Nothing is working in this country. I don't know what you make of this. What do you think? The Minister of Power is declaring that he still wants to run despite massive failure. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Also, I don't know what you make of this headline that was saying that Deji was asking Sowore to join the coalition. Do you think Sowore will want to join the coalition? Do you think Sowore should join the coalition? I don't know what you make of that. Now, we have this headline, Peter Obi deserves to be the presidential candidate of the ADC coalition, not a vice presidential candidate, coming from Dati Baba Ahmed. And then he went ahead to say, in a sane and forward-thinking nation, Dati Ahmed will be the North's pride and political frontliner. But in Nigeria, where noise overshadows substance, he remains grossly unsung. The so-called northern politician, political overweight, heavyweights are nothing more than featherweight when measured against Dati's integrity, intellectual and capacity. It's a tragedy that a man of such uncommon decency and competence is sidelined while charlatans take center stage. This is Nigeria's cause, celebrating volume over value. In my opinion, Peter Obi and Dati Ahmed should remain in the Labour Party and contest from there. This coalition of parties should be avoided. I think it makes sense. Some people are still very skeptical about this coalition. This person said, well, that's non-negotiable. The only way the coalition could make sense is to fly Obi as the presidential flag bearer and El-Rufai as his vice. Anything other than Obi is dead on arrival. I hope they don't repeat the mistake of 2023. Let me know your thoughts on this in the comment section below. Please don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell. Thank you.